Good morning, students. Here we come up with the shoulder joint. So therefore, in the shoulder joint gross anatomy definition, in the definition it is multi-axial ball and socket variety of synovial joint. This is very important. So in the gross anatomy of shoulder joint, it is multi-axial ball and socket variety of synovial joint. This is very important. Next will be, after definition, there will be the articulating surfaces. What are the articular surfaces which will form this ball and socket variety of synovial joint in the shoulder joint? Here, you have to describe in such a way that the ball of the joint is formed by spheroidal 1/3 surface of the head of the humerus. So therefore, the spheroidal 1/3 surface of the head of the humerus, the 1/3 surface of the head of the humerus, spheroidal 1/3 surface of head of humerus will form the ball of the shoulder joint. Now this head of humerus, so therefore, if I show just the upper section where I show intertubercular sulcus here, similarly this will suffice for the, we will show the head of the humerus. Lesser tubercle, greater tubercle, the head of the humerus. This is a cross section. So therefore, here, if we show this cross section in this way, this will form the head of the humerus, where the 1/3 surface, articulating surface, the head of the humerus, will form the ball segment of the ball and socket variety of shoulder joint. Now here, very important is the cartilage. So this will be covered by articular cartilage. Orange color if I use. Now this sentence is very important because many times it has been asked in one part question answer or in MCQ. The articular cartilage which covers, the hyaline articular cartilage which covers this convex head of the humerus will be in such a way that it will be thicker in the center and thinner at the periphery. So it will be convex and of course it will be thicker in the center, thin at the periphery. This sentence is very important. So therefore, this will be the articular cartilage. This is the hyaline cartilage which will cover the head of the humerus in this way. Thick in the center, thin at the periphery. So therefore, here you can mark this structure as the hyaline articular cartilage. And the last point about this head of the humerus will be, direction of the head of the humerus will be upwards, backwards, medially. So the direction of this head will be upwards, backwards, medially, always. So therefore, this is the description of one articulating surface. That is the convex, that is the ball which is formed by the head of the humerus. Next, if you come on this side, the second articulating surface will be the shallow glenoid cavity. So the shallow glenoid cavity, this will suffice for the socket. So therefore, this shallow glenoid cavity will work as the socket, and here this glenoid cavity is a shallow. The direction of glenoid cavity will be upwards, forwards, laterally. Please note down the direction of this glenoid cavity of scapula. Which one? Scapula. It will be directed upwards, forwards and laterally. And here on this side we are going to draw the shallow glenoid cavity. So if I draw this glenoid cavity in this way, this is the structure of glenoid cavity which will be shallow. So therefore this will be scapula, this is glenoid cavity. Now here this glenoid cavity will also be covered by same hyaline articular cartilage which covers the ball of the head of the humerus. But here one thing should be different. It should be opposite the thickness of this cartilage. That means the cartilage which was thicker in the center over the head of humerus will be thin in the central portion covering the glenoid cavity of scapula. and the cartilage which was thinner at the peripheral part covering the head of the humerus will be the same articular cartilage, hyaline type of articular cartilage covering the glenoid cavity will be opposite, will be thicker in the periphery. So therefore, if I draw over here, this will be the articular cartilage, except in this shape. So therefore, this is the hyaline articular cartilage covering the glenoid cavity, and you are able to suffice that this articular cartilage, if I draw, I can show that it is thicker at the periphery, thinner in the central portion. So it is concave. So therefore, this is the articular cartilage which covers the glenoid cavity of the scapula. And here I am going to mark this as hyaline articular cartilage covering the glenoid cavity of scapula. And never forget to describe these two essential points about its thickness. It is thin at the center, thick at the periphery, whereas it is opposite over the head of the humerus. So this is the second articulating surface. Now here, another important point in this articulating surface of the glenoid cavity of scapula will be sorry, the peripheral portion of the glenoid cavity will be covered by fibrocartilaginous rim, which is called glenoidal labrum. So therefore it is covered by glenoidal labrum at the peripheral part. And here if I show, since it is a cross section, this peripheral portion is covered by this glenoidal labrum. The peripheral portion of the glenoid cavity of the scapula is covered by a fibrocartilaginous rim, which is called glenoidal labrum, which will make the glenoid cavity deeper. Since the glenoid cavity, as I already mentioned, is shallower, so it will be made deeper because of the attachment of peripheral portion of fibrocartilaginous rim, which is known as the glenoidal labrum. That is another important point. So therefore, here also I am going to mark this as the glenoidal labrum. Now, after discussing these articulating surfaces of both the parts, head of humerus and the glenoid cavity. So here, if we come on this side, we have completed these two articulating surfaces. Now it is time for the ligaments of the shoulder joint. Now, as shoulder joint, if you compare it the same way with hip joint, the two most important ligaments are capsular ligament and synovial membrane. Always you have to describe the joint, whether it is hip joint or shoulder joint or knee joint. The first two ligaments should always be capsular ligament and synovial membrane. So here also we start with capsular ligament and synovial membrane. Here the ligaments which we are going to describe will be the capsular ligament, that is the capsule, fibrous capsule, and synovial membrane. Now the capsule covering the shoulder joint is very much easy to understand. Therefore, if I just draw with blue color, I will show the capsule. Here you have to mention and you have to show in the diagram how the attachment of capsule will be reflected on this diagram. Capsule is attached in a loose manner. The capsule which covers the shoulder joint will be very loosely packed. It will have two attachments, medial, lateral. Now here, medial attachment, that is on the glenoid cavity of the scapula. On the glenoid cavity of scapula, the medial attachment of the fibrous capsule will be in such a way that it will be attached to the it will be attached to the peripheral rim of the glenoid cavity. It is attached to the peripheral rim of the glenoid cavity of the scapula, medial attachment. But here, two things you have to mark, that this fibrous capsule is attached outside the glenoidal labrum. So, it is attached beyond the glenoidal labrum, outside the glenoidal labrum. Here, this is the fibrous capsule. It is attached outside the glenoidal labrum. This is very important point. And second important point will be at the supraglenoid tubercle. There is a tubercle, supraglenoid tubercle. There is origin of long head of biceps brachii muscle. So it will leave some space for the biceps brachii muscle, or it will cover the long head of biceps brachii muscle. Superiorly, it will include the origin of long head of biceps brachii muscle. That point should be included. So that is the medial attachment of fibrous capsule. Now the same fibrous capsule we show lateral attachment. That means laterally it is attached over the humerus. Now laterally the entire fibrous capsule is attached on the anatomical neck of the humerus, except again at two places. So once again I'll repeat, it is attached, the entire fibrous capsule will be attached at, now I will continue this in this way, anatomical neck. It is attached across the anatomical neck laterally on the humerus, except at two places. The first place will be superiorly. Superiorly, there will be small deficient portion for the passage of long head of biceps brachii tendon, which is covered by synovial sheath. So, as the long head of biceps brachii muscle passes covered by synovial sheath, I will show here, when it passes covered by synovial sheath, this is synovial sheath, in which there will be the long head of biceps brachii muscle which is passing. There will be deficient capsule superiorly. So this region in the superior segment will be deficient. The capsule will be deficient, which will allow the passage of the long head of biceps brachii, which is covered with synovial sheath. So therefore, if you draw this capsule here superiorly, there will be deficient, and then you can continue the capsule above. So that is one point where it is deficient superiorly. Second point where the fibrous capsule will be deficient almost or loosely attached will be 1 centimeter below the anatomical neck. That means it is extending infero-medially over the surgical neck. Infero-medially over the humerus in this area, it will be extending till the surgical neck. So here also, as it is extending over the surgical neck infero-medially, the capsule can be shown in this way. This is how the capsule is shown when you draw the diagram. So therefore, this is where the capsule, as it is attached infero-medially, where it may show deficiency, loosely attached, over till the surgical neck of the humerus. So therefore, this is the attachment of the fibrous capsule except at two places. These are the two places, 1 and 2. So here we finish the lateral attachment and medial attachment of fibrous capsule. Now important points. This fibrous capsule, as we have drawn, will be reinforced by 4 tendons which are surrounding from superior till posteriorly. What are those 4 tendons? Anterior, superior, posteriorly. They form a dynamic stabilizer of the shoulder joint, and they are subscapularis, supraspinatus, infraspinatus and teres minor. So they will form a cuff-like which will stabilize the shoulder joint, and that cuff-like process will be known as rotator cuff or musculotendinous cuff. It will provide dynamic stability to the shoulder joint. In the last, what you need to mention will be the inferior part of the fibrous capsule will be loosely attached, and also it will be the weakest portion of the fibrous capsule covering the shoulder joint. So therefore, in extreme abduction of the shoulder joint tends to be dislocated inferiorly. So inferiorly, the fibrous capsule is the weakest, and also the shoulder joint, whenever dislocation of shoulder joint takes place, it is mostly in the inferior direction in extreme cases of abduction. So here we complete the fibrous capsule. Now since the fibrous capsule is completed, we start with, when we consider these ligaments, the capsular ligament, fibrous capsule we have discussed. Now we move on to synovial membrane. In the synovial membrane, what we need to show is, a generalized coronal section. This coronal section is just to understand the lining of synovial membrane. Please come on this side. And this coronal section, see the diagram, here it goes here we show this is intertubercular sulcus. So here we show the intertubercular sulcus. Greater tubercle, lesser tubercle, intertubercular sulcus. Remember, it is a coronal section, and here we are going to show on this side, what we are going to show is the glenoid cavity. Glenoid cavity we are going to show. And after completing this glenoid cavity, we are going to show the coronal section of the head of the humerus. So therefore, we complete over here, this will suffice as the coronal section of the head of the humerus. Now, head of humerus and glenoid cavity, both of them are covered by hyaline articular cartilages. So we have to cover these two hyaline articular cartilages. Here we show, this is the head, peripheral portion is thinner and central portion is thicker. This is how we show the hyaline articular cartilage covering the head of the humerus, and therefore here we show it. I'll put some color inside, and here we complete this hyaline articular cartilage covering the head of the humerus. Same way, the hyaline articular cartilage covering the glenoidal cavity of scapula, which is thin at the center, thicker at the periphery. This is how you have to show. Thin at the center and thicker at the periphery. And therefore, this will be the hyaline articular cartilage here, which is covering the glenoid cavity of the scapula. This is where you show this portion. Now, here, if I just extend this glenoid cavity to show the attachment. After marking this, I will show the fibrous capsule. So the fibrous capsule, which is shown with blue color, here we show the attachment of fibrous capsule. This is where the fibrous capsule is attached. In this way, over here also you show that this will be the attachment of fibrous capsule. Next we show the synovial membrane. Now the synovial membrane, as we are going to use green color for synovial membrane. It will line the inner surface of fibrous capsule. So therefore here we show that synovial membrane is lining the inner surface of the fibrous capsule. Over here also we show that it is lining the inner surface of the fibrous capsule. And then we will show that this synovial membrane, first of all, it lines the inner part of the fibrous capsule. Wherever fibrous capsule is there, its inner surface is lined by synovial membrane. Second important point will be the same synovial membrane will line the intra-articular part of the neck of the femur. So the part of the neck of the femur which is covered by fibrous capsule, that much portion of the neck of the femur, not femur but humerus, intra-articular part of the neck of humerus will be covered by synovial membrane. So here, intra-articular part of the humerus, we show that it is covered by synovial membrane. That entire portion will also be covered by synovial membrane. This is very important point. Intra-articular part of the neck of the humerus will be covered by synovial membrane. Very, very important point. So that is why we show this synovial membrane in this way. Now comes the important point. After showing these 2 points, first it is lining the inner surface of the capsule. Second point, it will cover intra-articular part of the neck of the humerus, which is present just deep to the fibrous capsule. The third important point will be this synovial membrane, as we have already discussed in the hip joint also, the synovial membrane, same in shoulder joint, will stop. It will cease at the articular hyaline cartilage. So here you show that it will cease at the hyaline articular cartilage till here. Over here also you show that it is stopping at the hyaline articular cartilage. Next is over here also you show that it is stopping at the hyaline articular cartilage. You should always mark. This is the third point in synovial membrane. And now comes the fourth point. Now here in this synovial membrane, in this diagram, first, in order to make it clear, what we'll do is, this is the greater tubercle, lesser tubercle, this is the intertubercular sulcus. Just to make it clear, this is the head of the humerus, and this is the glenoid cavity of the scapula. So over here we will mark this as fibrous capsule, and over here we will mark this as synovial membrane. So once again, we will revise through all the 3 points. First point was it will line, synovial membrane will line the inner surface of capsule. Second point was this synovial membrane will cover the intra-articular part of the anatomical neck of the humerus. Third important point was the synovial membrane, you have to take care that it will seize at the margin of hyaline articular cartilages, both the articular cartilage covering the head of the humerus as well as the articular cartilage covering the glenoid cavity of scapula. So it will stop at that end. Now the fourth important point. The fourth important point will be, which you have to draw, there will be passage of long head of biceps brachii tendon. So first we show that the long head of biceps brachii tendon, which I will use red color to show that it is passing in this way. Here, this is the long head of biceps brachii tendon, which is passing in this direction. After showing this, what you need to show will be it is covered by synovial sheath. So our synovial membrane here, you need to show that it is covering this side, this long head of biceps brachii tendon. So here it is covering this long head of biceps brachii tendon. This is the synovial sheath which will cover. This is what you have to show. So this is the fourth important point where you need to show that the long head of biceps brachii muscle will pass. It will pass in the intertubercular sulcus. It will extend till the surgical neck of the humerus. It is covered by the synovial sheath. This is what you need to show. So therefore, these are the markings of the synovial membrane of the entire shoulder joint. And here we finish our capsular ligament, that is the fibrous capsule covering the shoulder joint, as well as the reflection of synovial membrane. Thank you very much.